In this video, I'm going to be looking at a game called The Great War at Sea, Mediterranean. It's from Avalanche Press Limited. This, I think, might have been their first of this series. I know it's the first edition that I have. And I'm going to be playing a scenario 3, Mediterranean Scenario 3. So it's called Sacro, Egoismo, which I think means sacred glory or something like that. And this is April 1912. So on my channel a while ago, I did do a gameplay of the Italian Ottoman War 1911-1912 from Strategy and Tactics magazine. And this scenario basically would take place within that period. So I thought it was kind of an interesting one. And this is what the introduction for this says in the scenario book. Seeking international prestige and a diversion from domestic problems, the target certainly offered little else. Italy invaded Turkish-ruled Libya in October of 1911. There was little naval activity in the Italo-Turkish War until an attack on the Dardanelles by an Italian squadron. The Ottoman Navy, intimidated by the Italians, did little to interfere with the Italian plans despite public outrage over the mass slaughter of civilians in Beirut during an Italian bombardment which intentionally targeted residential areas. So that's the outset of this game. It's 64 turns, and the Central Powers player can decide, what turn to start it on. So the Central Powers would be Turkey in this case, and the Italians would be allied, I believe. There are a few special rules in this scenario. Rhodes is actually a Turkish port, and the Central Powers player can use all Turkish and Albanian ports. The Allied player can use Italian ports. And the shipping routes, the Central Powers player may use the MLT to search for ships along shipping routes between Italian ports. And there is a rule for preparatory fire. Basically, Italian transports may not unload in Turkish coastal zones or anything touching the island of Rhodes until the zone has been bombarded by at least 2 battleships or armored cruisers. So the victory conditions are as follows. The Allies, the Italians, receive 6 points for bombarding Sea Zone Q51 and 2 for bombarding any other Turkish coastal zone at least 6 zones away from Q51. And the Allied player receives 6 victory points for each transport that he unloads in specific sea zones that represent, their objectives, and 2 for each transport which is unloaded in Tripoli. The Central Powers, which would be Turkey, receives 20 victory points for each transport that he sinks, which is triple the usual victory point award of each Italian ship sunk. So in the regular rules, there's a way to calculate the value of the ship. PT boat doesn't really count as much as a battleship. So that's kind of the outset of this. I'm going to just take an overview of the map here and a look at the forces so that we can get an idea of what is involved. So this first picture is showing a Turkish raiding force. It is set up in a sea zone in the Turkish Straits, and it can be assigned to a raid mission. It's supposed to get out into the Mediterranean and raid. And it's basically the light cruiser Hamadaya, and it has a leader. This is the one force that actually has a leader, which can affect some of the activity, and his name is Hussein Rauf, and I have no idea how to pronounce that. But he's an interesting character that I did a little bit of research on, just to find out about him, just on a general research on Wikipedia. This next picture shows the battle fleet of the Turks, and so you'll see in this battle fleet, there's a pre-dreadnought battleship, the Barbarossa. That is here, and it basically has four primary guns, no secondary guns, one tertiary gun. It does have some torpedoes and, 4 hull hits, and this ship is gone. So it's, not a very sturdy ship. And basically you have, I don't know if it's the sister ship or not, but it's the Torgad Reese, which is the same thing. It's got 4 primary guns, no secondary guns, a tertiary guns. It's slow, and it's not a high quality ship. The force also contains a coastal defense ship, the Asar Tevik, and the Masudia. So these are not very strong ships either. The Masudia does have 4 secondary guns, but the other ship, the Tevfik, has 1 secondary gun and 1 tertiary gun. These ships are not very sturdy. You also have the cruiser Megidia, again, a very weak ship. You can tell by the ratings. There's some gunboats, the Satvit, the Sevket, the Isa Rice, the Durak Rice, the Herzir Rice, the Aden Rice, and there's some destroyers and a torpedo boat. So this is like the large Turkish fleet. This is also in the Turkish Straits. Then we go to Constantinople, and in port there you have another coastal destroyer and 4 gunboats. And at the next picture is showing at Durazzo, and so this is over, I believe, in Albania. There are 2 torpedo boats from the Antalya class. And then in Beirut, there's 2 more Antalya class torpedo boats. That is it for the Turkish forces. So now we'll go and take a look at what the Italian ships are. The first place we're going to look is at Taranto. So here's your major port in mainland Italy. And right off the bat, you see they've got 6 pre-dreadnought battleships: the Elena, the Emanuela, the Roma, the Napoli, the Regina Margherita, and the Benetto Brine. These ships have only 4 hull points of damage that they can take, so they are somewhat brittle to the later battleships. However, one thing that they do have, they have a lot of secondary guns. Some of them have 6 secondary guns, some have 4, and the primary guns, they have a couple. They have 3 or 4 tertiary guns, and they move at a speed of 1. So, I mean, they're not great, but they are better than what we just saw that the Turks had. Also, they have 5 armored cruisers: the Pisa, the San Marco, the San Giorgio. And I think what's interesting about this is the San Giorgio. This is a ship that I remember from playing DAC 2 in the Operational Combat series, because the San Giorgio was a ship that was sunk out in the waters near Tobruk, and it actually was able to still fire guns when the British were attacking in that area, the San Giorgio. So it ended up historically getting sunk near Tobruk at some point. So that ship is here, and the San Giorgio has 2 primary guns, 4 secondary guns, 3 tertiary guns, and these armored cruisers go down with 4 hull hits, so they're fairly brittle, but they still are going to outclass, I think, the Turkish fleet. There's also 3 gunboats, the Lombardia, the Elba, and the Calabria. There are 18 destroyers, 9 Soldati class, and 9 Lampo class. There are 6 torpedo boats, and they got a bunch of transports, which are used to do their ground invasions or to provide supply. In our next picture, we're going to take a look at what's happening at the sea zone Q51. This is up near the Turkish Straits where, the Turkish raiding ship is, as well as their battle fleet. And you've got 2 armored cruisers there, the Giuseppe Garibaldi and the Verisi, and 3 torpedo boats and a collier. So that could prove to be interesting if these guys come into contact with each other. This next picture is showing just outside of Rhodes, the island of Rhodes, you've got 2 pre-dreadnought battleships, the Emanuela Filiberto and the Saint Bon, and 4 torpedo boats and a collier. Again, at Tripoli in Libya, you basically have a gunboat and 5 destroyers. And then at Madalena, you've got, I believe this is Sardinia. You've got 3 gunboats, the Agorda, the Aquatet, and the Etruria. And of course, you might remember some of these names as from coming out of the colonial battles with the Ascari back in the late 1890s. So their ships are named after these. Anyway, that's a look at the sides. We'll go into the gameplay and find out, what exactly happens.